Okay, now we're going to go ahead and create, as I said, a full-blown custom double-hung parametric window. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to New. We're going to open up a family element, and we're going to open up a window, which is actually nothing more than an opening, and I'll show you how that works in a second here. And when we open it, we're presented with the front view, and it's already actually opened up a whole lot of the other views. And you can see they have preset settings to them. So we have an interior exterior view and a view 1, which is like a 3D view. I'll rotate around just a little bit there. And then we have that idea of a reference level looking at it in plan view. And it's set up to be a 3 foot by 4 foot. And the first thing I'd like to do is I'm going to resave this with a specific name. So I'm going to do a file, I'm going to do a save as, a family. And I'm going to save it in my same folder, but I'm going to go custom window. And that way we'll be able to, oops, custom window is already taken. I've already started one, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. We'll just call it new window 2. And I'll save that. And let's go ahead and load that into the project. And we have one other open project, so it's not even going to ask us if we want to load it in. And we're going to go to that. I'll close out that site view. It always likes to go to that. I'm going to go to the 3D view that we've been working on. Oh, actually, I don't want the 3D view either. Let's close that off. Let's go to the 3D view, the nice 3D view we had of the window. And we'll go ahead and go to Architecture Window. And new window has already been imported as we loaded it. And it's ready to be placed. So I'm going to grab it. And I'm getting some indications here, but they're not really clear. So it was a little hard to see that. I'll just position this over so it's 10 feet also. And I placed it really low. There's a sill height. And I'm not sure why it sits low. If I have a stand, oh, there's a sill height. Let's check what the other sill height was. The other sill height was 3 feet. So let's go ahead and make this one 3 feet. And we're going to go and edit this type right away because it's only set for 4 feet high. But we're going to edit this as an instance property, just where it's imported in. And I'm going to change this to 8 feet and apply that. And actually, I think these windows are 3 feet by 4 feet. Let me just double check that. I'm going to click into it. And yes, they're 4 feet wide by 8 foot high. So I'm going to make this one the same size. So they'll all have the same look. Okay, so the first thing to notice is that the window is actually just an opening now. We haven't put any elements on it, but Revit in the generic library element defines the window then as the opening with plenty of opportunity for us to then populate it with the window components. And we'll go do that right away. We'll go ahead and select it. Excuse me, so it highlights there. And we'll go to Edit Family. And let's right away make the sill for the window. And we're going to go to the exterior view. And we're going to make an extrusion. I'm going to make a rectangle. I'm going to use the rectangle tool. And this is probably one of the most important first parts of making a parametric element of any sort. I'm going to use the rectangle tool. I'm going to go ahead and draw that rectangle right away. And the first thing we see are all these lock boxes, meaning giving us a chance to lock those to the reference planes. And the first thing I want to do is go around that and lock those all on. If you happen to have hit this and didn't click the lock boxes, you're better off just deleting the whole box and redrawing it, and then being a little more attentive to clicking the boxes right away. I'll demonstrate that. I'll go ahead and delete all of these and just do that again. I'll do it wrong. So we'll come in here, I'll do this, and then I'll say let's go off to another task. I'm going to draw another line or something. Now I've lost all that chance to tie these off. So I can just easily reconstruct them. It's just a faster method to get us where we want to be. And I'm going to go lock those back. Now those are parametrically linked to those. They'll stay engaged in those no matter what happens. But we really want our extrusion not to be a solid object. We want to have a little offset to it, a hole in it. And I've got it already set for 2 inches. So I'm just going to walk around until the dotted lines are on the right side. And then I'll go ahead and join all of those lines on the inside. And we'll click complete. And we'll take a look at this at some descriptive view. Let's go to the left side so we can see what we have. Now that's way off to the side. I'm not sure why that does that, but if we go zoom extents, it'll zoom into it. And we can see our jam is this item here. I'm just going to pull this back until it touches that front interior edge of the wall. And I'm going to make sure that it's locked to that center line of the wall. And let's say we're happy with that, so we're going to go ahead and load that into the project. And we're going to overwrite it, but not its parameter values, not the height and width. We've already set those, so we're going to just overwrite the existing. And now we've inserted a sill into there. We probably should come back and give it a little color. There's something missing, and that's the brick return on this, and we've got to figure out how to satisfy that issue. So I'm going to select this item and see if we get a chance to edit that characteristic. Wall closure, and I think we want to say exterior and hit apply. And let's take a look. And yeah, that runs that exterior wall closure around the edge of the opening. So now we're getting that same idea of a brick reveal. So let's take a look at just creating some double hung window systems to go inside of there right away. So I'm going to select it again. We'll go back to edit family. I did want to give that a color, a white. So let's give it a material that'll be something like that. We'll create a new material. My palette is showing, my create material palette is off the screen, so I have to drag it on. We'll go to the appearance palette, and that new default material I'll rename. I'll right click it and rename it. You're not able to see all of that. And we'll call it trim color. And we'll just up the whiteness of that trim color. And we might warm it up just a little bit. And I'll say OK. I'll apply it to that. And now we've got the trim color applied to the window frame. So let's go back to the exterior elevation, and I want to insert I'm going to go to create, and I want to insert another reference plane. These are 2 reference planes for the top and bottom, the sill and let's see what they call it, the top of the window. So I'm going to put a reference plane in that is actually basically in the center of that. And the way to do that is to draw it, and then we'll create some dimensions here, and we'll make those equal. We're not dictating the dimensions, just that we want that center point to be equal. That'll give us our parting line for the window, the double hung window. We're going to build a little error in here. Our windows are going to be exactly the same size, so I can make a quick construction, but they really should overlap the sill width. So let's go ahead and make our top window component here now. So I'm going to create once again an extrusion. I'm going to use our rectangle tool, go up into the top corner, come down to the bottom corner, and before I click off anything, I'm going to attach the lock boxes to it. And then we'll do that same technique of creating an offset. So I'm going to use the offset tool and then join those. And we'll complete that, and just as we did before, we'll look at that from the left side view. And it's starting, we want to make sure that it attaches to that front reference point. We'll lock it to that. And if we look over here to extrusion, we only want it to be about 1.5 inches deep. So I'm going to go 1.5 inches, and that should snap that down. I've lost my mouse here a second. And that snaps that down to 1.5 inches. And we'll apply that same trim color. And let's look at it from a, I guess it's the view 1, so we can see what we've got going on here. So in this case, our wall that we're using to construct is thinner, so in front of our casing or our window frame is coming right to the edge. We're also looking at the interior side because this is sticking out to the front. Now what we want to do is put a piece of glass in it before we make the bottom panel or the bottom of the double hung window. So let's go back to the exterior elevation and just quickly create another extrusion. And we'll lock that all off, and this time it's a solid piece of material, glass, so we don't want to put a hole in it. And once again, we'll look at it from the left hand side. In this case, I'm going to leave this just floating. I'm just going to neck this down because it's just for a visual graphic. I need to get the window off of that front plane, and I'm not sure it's going to let, there it goes. There we go. So now we have a piece of glass. And like I said, I'm not really critical about dimensions at this point. And I'm going to just give that the glass texture. And I'm going to spell that out because Revit will already know that that glass is an item. So we'll go ahead and load that into the project and take a look at what we've got so far. We'll overwrite the existing version. And there we have our first window in the sill or in the frame. So let's go ahead and build the next one, and then we'll take a break and come back and look at lentils. So I'm going to go back to that again, and this time we'll just jump to the left elevation right away. And I'll come down here and get so it's all on the screen. We'll grab that whole window construction, grab it up in the top corner, and I'm just going to copy it down. Oops, I'm going to do Control Z and undo that. I'm going to do that one more time because I had the constraint palette on and I had multiple selected. So I'm going to go copy, turn off constraint, turn off multiple, grab the top corner and bring it over to this other corner. And I'm going to go ahead and save that because we're getting close to having that the way we want it. And we'll load that into the project and overwrite the existing version. And there we have a pretty reasonable facsimile of a double hung window that we've made ourselves. So, and you can see the error, like I said, this a window, the panels actually, or the frames actually overhang each other, so you only get one appearance. In this case, we have two lines showing there. But I thought this was just a quicker way for us to, well, get to the look of a window. Otherwise, we'd have to make two reference planes for the top and bottom of that and do some other alignment. So I'm going to end this clip here now, and then when we pick it back up again, we'll look at adding a lentil and a trim, or what we I'm sorry, the loss for the word sill, excuse me. We'll do that when we come back.